This is Bria Hartley right here, grinning from ear to ear with Sophie Cunningham smiling.
Bria Hartley dives for Sophie Cunningham's knees, doesn't even try to avoid the collision, doesn't try to move out the way. Bria Hartley sees Sophie's legs and says, "That's the direction I'm going to fall in," even though...
This is Bria Hartley, right here, grinning from ear to ear in a moment that should have had no smiles at all. Because right in front of her, Sophie Cunningham is down on the hardwood, clutching her knee in visible pain. Hartley dives directly into Sophie's legs with no attempt to avoid the hit, no hesitation, no sign she was even trying to make a basketball move. She simply crashes straight into her like it was premeditated. And the moment Sophie collapses, fans everywhere can see Hartley smiling, almost mocking the pain she just caused. And that sinister grin instantly turned a routine game into one of the most talked about controversies in the WNBA. The cameras catch Sophie's tears as teammates rush over, Lexi Hull desperately trying to help her off the floor. And yet, Hartley's expression doesn't change. She looks satisfied, as if injuring one of the league's brightest stars was just part of her plan. And that's what has fans furious, because this isn't just about a hard foul anymore. It's about intent. It's about whether Sophie Cunningham was deliberately targeted in a league already filled with complaints about dirty plays, from Caitlin Clark being knocked down to reckless hits that go unpunished. And now, Sophie's devastating injury has pushed the outrage to a breaking point, with everyone asking the same question. Is the WNBA protecting its stars? Or has it become a league where players like Bria Hartley can take out fan favorites with a smile on their face and walk away untouched? The replay tells the whole story. Hartley slides over with no balance, no control, and instead of bracing herself or pulling back, she drops directly into Sophie Cunningham's lower leg. The kind of collision that makes anyone watching instinctively grab their own knee. Sophie immediately goes down hard, her face twisted in agony as the arena falls silent. You can feel the shock ripple through the crowd. This isn't just a stumble or an awkward fall. This is a brutal crash that leaves one of the league's toughest players on the floor, unable to get up, and right away the anger starts pouring in. Fans pointing out that this isn't an isolated accident, it's part of a disturbing pattern. First, Caitlin Clark takes a dangerous groin hit, then JC Sheldon lands a reckless eye poke. Marina Mabrey comes in with a foul that had people questioning the officiating, and now Sophie Cunningham, one of the Indiana Fever's most fiery competitors, becomes the next name added to the list. The frustration boiling over because it feels like every time the Fever take the court against aggressive opponents, someone leaves in pain. And the question hanging in the air is how many more of these dangerous plays have to happen before the league finally steps in and does something to protect its stars. But here's where the story shifts. Because instead of collapsing under the weight of frustration, the Indiana Fever respond like a team possessed. The energy in the building flips, and suddenly, what looked like a disaster becomes the spark that ignites a comeback for the ages. Kelsey Mitchell steps onto the floor with ice in her veins and delivers a career-high 38 points. Shot after shot, dropping as if she couldn't miss. Odyssey Sims, a player who wasn't even supposed to be there, steps in on a hardship contract and plays like her career depends on it, pushing the pace, driving to the rim, setting the tone. And then there's Lexi Hull, clutch from beyond the arc, burying a three at the exact moment the Fever needed it most. Every possession becomes a statement. Every bucket feels like revenge for Sophie Cunningham, lying injured on the sideline. The Fever play with raw emotion, with fire in their eyes. And what was supposed to be a game-ending injury to their emotional leader transforms into the rallying cry that carries them into overtime, where they shock everyone in the building by storming to a 99-93 victory that nobody saw coming. And for the Fever, it wasn't just about winning the game, it was about sending a message, a statement to the entire league that no matter how many dirty hits get thrown their way, this team refuses to fold. The victory should have been the headline, but instead, the moment that stole every camera angle and dominated every replay was Bria Hartley's grin. That smirk burned into the minds of fans like salt in an open wound. The image of her standing there smiling while Sophie Cunningham limped off in tears sent social media into a frenzy. Thousands of comments pouring in within minutes, calling the play dirty, cheap, and disgraceful. Fans demanding answers, demanding accountability. Because this wasn't just about Sophie's injury anymore, it was about the culture of the WNBA, a league where stars like Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are supposed to be protected. Yet time after time, they're targeted by reckless collisions and flagrant hits. And the officials do nothing. The league office says nothing. The suspensions are either too light or non-existent. And meanwhile, players like Hartley build reputations off chaos. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Not just the injury itself, but the reaction that followed. The grin, the laughter, the total lack of remorse. And that's why this clip went viral instantly. Because for many, it wasn't just a highlight, it was proof that the WNBA is failing its stars. Proof that cheap shots are being allowed to define games, and proof that the league risks losing credibility every time players like Hartley walk away untouched while its biggest names are carried off the court. And the truth is, this isn't Bria Hartley's first brush with controversy. Her career highlight reel isn't filled with smooth assists or game-winning shots. It's littered with incidents that make fans shake their heads. Remember the moment she yanked Angel Reese by the ponytail like it was a playground fight, not a professional basketball game, and then laughed as if humiliating an opponent was just another tactic? Then came the Skylar Diggins collision. No basketball move, no defensive strategy, just a reckless body check in the open court that left people stunned. And who could forget the Rebecca Allen incident where Hartley's aggression turned into scratching and clawing, leaving marks on Allen's shoulder like she was auditioning for the WWE? These weren't accidents, these were patterns. And now with Sophie Cunningham added to the list, the narrative is impossible to ignore. Hartley has become synonymous with dirty play, a name that sparks boos the second it's mentioned. And when fans saw that grin after Sophie's fall, it wasn't just anger, it was confirmation. Confirmation of what they've been saying all along, that Hartley thrives on chaos, that she fuels her relevance not through skill, but through controversy, and that she's more interested in headlines than highlights. And the dangerous part is that the league's inaction keeps giving her the stage to do it again and again. Sophie Cunningham isn't just another player to brush this off either. She's one of the league's most resilient stars, a player nicknamed Sophie the Trophy because of the way she plays with heart, with grit, with fire, and fans adore her for it. Time after time, she's taken brutal hits, been thrown to the ground, targeted in ways that would have broken weaker players. Yet she keeps getting up, she keeps fighting, she keeps delivering for the Fever. But this moment with Bria Hartley felt different. It wasn't just a physical blow, it was a direct insult to everything Sophie represents. And the sight of her struggling to walk off the court sent chills through the arena. Because everyone knows the WNBA can't afford to lose players like her, just like it can't afford to keep watching Caitlin Clark take cheap shots game after game. These are the faces of the league, the names that bring in ticket sales, television ratings, and fan loyalty. And if the league can't keep them safe, what future does it really have? That's why this isn't just about Sophie's injury, it's about the WNBA's credibility. Because every time fans see their stars attacked without proper punishment, it chips away at their trust. It raises the question of whether this league values entertainment over protection. And for Sophie Cunningham, the pain in her knee is one thing, but the bigger pain is knowing the people in charge still haven't shown the courage to protect the very players who make the game worth watching. What makes this even worse is the reaction we saw from Sophie's family and from her coach, Stephanie White. Emotions ran high. Cameras caught White with tears in her eyes after the game, and Sophie's mom, Paula, and her sister, Lindsay, were visibly furious. Not just because Sophie was hurt, but because of what it represents. A league that fines Sophie Cunningham for speaking up about officiating but allows players like Bria Hartley to throw their bodies into stars with little consequence. It's hypocrisy at its absolute peak. Fans are left wondering how a league that claims to promote its talent can justify allowing its brightest names to be sidelined by reckless plays, while the perpetrators grin and walk away. And the bigger fear is what happens next. Because if Sophie's injury lingers, if Caitlin Clark continues to take hits, if players like Lexi Hull or Kelsey Mitchell are next on the list, The WNBA risks unraveling its own future. Television ratings won't rise, ticket sales won't grow. Fans won't stay loyal if they believe the league doesn't care about protecting its stars. And that's the heart of the outrage. People aren't just angry about Hartley's smile. They're angry because it symbolizes a system where dirty play thrives, where accountability is absent, and where the league's silence is deafening. And if the WNBA doesn't step up right now, the damage won't just be to Sophie Cunningham's knee, it will be to the reputation of the league itself. And the reality is, Bria Hartley has crossed the line from being viewed as a tough competitor to being branded a repeat offender. Her reputation now overshadows her skill, because when fans think of Hartley, they don't think of clutch shooting or leadership, they think of ponytail pulling, reckless collisions, and now Sophie Cunningham writhing on the floor while she grins like it's a joke. This isn't just sloppy play, it's a pattern. And in sports, patterns define legacies. Hartley has built hers on chaos, and every time the league fails to hand down serious consequences, it validates that chaos. It tells players like Hartley that there's room for them to keep pushing boundaries, and it tells fans that the league will tolerate the antics as long as the games continue. But that approach is short-sighted because one brutal injury can cost a career, one reckless fall can take away a star forever, and once that happens, no amount of spin or highlight reels can save the WNBA from the criticism that it allowed its brightest names to be destroyed on its watch. Hartley's defenders can say it was an accident, that she didn't mean it, that smiles can be misunderstood, but fans aren't buying it, not when there's years of footage showing the same story, not when Sophie Cunningham's tears are still fresh in everyone's mind, and not when the league's silence screams louder than any press release. Hartley has become a symbol of everything fans don't want the WNBA to be, and until the league takes a stand, she'll keep dragging its reputation down with her. This is bigger than one foul, bigger than one grin. This is about the culture of the WNBA, and whether it wants to be remembered as a league that let its stars get picked apart by reckless players, or a league that stood up and drew a line in the sand. Because every time Sophie Cunningham takes the floor, fans tune in. Every time Caitlin Clark touches the ball, arenas fill. These are the names carrying the future. But when they're constantly being targeted, constantly being left vulnerable, fans begin to wonder if the league even values the very players who built its momentum. Hartley's actions aren't just a personal stain. They're a test for the WNBA itself. If they allow this kind of play to slide, if they hand out weak suspensions or worse, ignore it entirely, they're telling fans that chaos is acceptable, that cheap shots are part of the game, and that's the fastest way to lose credibility, to lose respect, to lose the very fan base they're trying to grow. This moment with Sophie Cunningham should be a wake-up call. It should be the final straw that forces leadership to act decisively, to hand down real suspensions, to protect their stars before another player's career ends on a dirty fall. Because if they don't, then Hartley's grin won't just symbolize one ugly play, it will symbolize a league that looked the other way, while its brightest lights were extinguished. At the end of the day, this incident isn't just about Bria Hartley and Sophie Cunningham, it's about what the WNBA decides its future is going to look like, because every league is judged not only by the talent on the floor, but by how it protects that talent. And right now, fans are watching closely. They've flooded social media with outrage, with petitions, with demands for justice, because they know without Sophie Cunningham, without Caitlin Clark, without the players who bring passion and draw crowds, there is no WNBA. And if leadership keeps turning a blind eye, if they keep letting reckless collisions define headlines instead of incredible performances, they risk losing everything they've worked to build. Sophie's injury has become more than a storyline. It's become a symbol of the fight between dirty play and integrity, between negligence and accountability, and the league stands at a crossroads. Either step up with bold action and prove to fans that stars will be protected at all costs, or watch credibility evaporate as the narrative shifts from growth and excitement to chaos and mistrust. The choice is in their hands. But fans have made their voices clear. They're not going to sit silently while players like Bria Hartley tarnish the game. And unless the WNBA acts decisively, this won't just be remembered as Sophie Cunningham's injury, it will be remembered as the moment the league failed to protect its future.